Okay. Anyways, so what's got me all wound up and tied up in a bunch? Well, I think there's some new developments. I finally got to thinking. And I've got to thinking. And I've made some things. Item 1. Well, this was the map I initially made, but now I know that there's a bridge up top on the far left. I wanted to piece together where all the murders occurred and things like that. And put it into options. In a neat little diagram. This took me a little bit. So now we know, let's see. I cannot see from what I know you know. So I've basically put out where all the sources were, curse sources were in purple. In red I have the murders. Of the new murders, I should say. Not the old murders that took place. Old and new, a mix of both. So we have Shigima, the kid whose body was found in Sumida, Najima murders, which was also the body parts were found in Sumida, Jonouchi was died in the middle of the track, Okie in the park, Yoshimi, who's Yoshimi? The cop. I put him in the park, but apparently he died in the gardens now? Okay. So he died in the gardens, was what, dragged to the park? Oh, whatever, I'll piece that later. And Shiraishi fell off, or an accident. I always forget that that part was an accident, or that whoever it was we were speaking to said it was an accident. And Hayashi, who's Hayashi? Oh right, the random person that we don't know nothing about. Next item I want to talk about. The return of the spreadsheet. I've added the new murders onto this and more mysteries I wanted to talk about. So I've talked about the kidnapping, I've talked about Shogun Yoko, I talk about the cop, who I need to change that, the office worker, who is just some random nobody, and yeah, Jonouchi, sorry. So yeah, there are a few questions I have. First off with Shogun Yoko is the concept of just who's the caster. We've talked about how regular people could use curses, but the fact of the matter is that there could be somebody else using curses. So, you know, some sort of caster who hasn't been relevant in a little bit. Yoko's is also interesting because we have this notion of a curse backfiring, which has been briefly mentioned, I believe. That a curse can backfire, which explains why Yoko died when she told us to turn around and look. Rather than, I presume, Shoga would have died, and it was all a front. At least that's my working theory. What else do I want to talk about? Shigima, just a question of where he's murdered. We know his body was found along the river, so we might find him around there. It's also looking at this, going back to looking at the map, since we know he's dumped at the river, we know that he wouldn't be dumped at any other body of water. So generally that would lead to proximity to the Sumida, although of course high pollutants could lead to just going there. Up next. Yes, Yoshimi, his kind of notes I wanted to talk about. His interaction with Yako. There was this thing that Yako said that was intriguing, that she said something about being cursed or something about people being close to her dying. Which makes sense because of, well, her friend and the cop now. So, I don't know. There's just an intrigue about her being a cursed being. Next. This one I want to change. Shiraishi. I mean, I talked about this being a curse killing her, so I said mansion or fools, because both causes of death can be made to look similar, with fools only needing, well, a top half. Wait, but that's contradictory evidence. Wait, is it contradictory? Because the ghost said that that her fall was an accident, or, well, her death was an accident. And yet, with the cops saying it might be a hit and run, that wouldn't be an accident at all. Or, I guess it could be an accident, and the driver just kept going. That's possible. Next up, the Nejima murder. This is where we talk about possession. Now, first off, brief look. Actually, no, I'll talk about that later. The fact that, someone's being possessed. We've already gotten, this full, just outright statement that Nejima looked like Ashiyama from Harue. Yeah. So the question is, why did they be so blunt about it? And why is it that Nejima sounded nothing like, well, Ashiyama? Could be a front, but I got a feeling that a possession game's in play. It's not really a person murdering, it's a spirit murdering. And it's that person who expertly killed, well, was it Harue's classmate? Yeah. Which is why a guy who knew nothing about murder was able to expertly dissect someone. So I have a feeling there's definitely possession in play. Oh, and then just as a brief aside, who is she? Yeah, who is this person he murdered? Might be relevant, might not be, we'll see. Speaking of who is she, the office worker who just randomly got killed in South Wadagasui Street. The second murder of Okie, the Okie hairdo, and well, it would be her. Who is she? Does she have any relevance? I realize that she's not the person who I was talking about earlier last time because I got that mixed up. Was she again? She was a stylist or something like that? Her. And finally, last up, this is the most intriguing mystery that I've come across. Jono Uchi. And how he could have died. So our current stance, this is the most intriguing one. Yeah, the way we're playing, he died in the middle of a field. And that makes, but technically we could have killed him in the classroom with, can't remember her name now. Because it kind of, it talks about player choice. Because we could have killed him in that classroom. And makes me wonder if the story would have changed at all. Or if Mio would have stopped us from using the curse. Or if the curse wouldn't have happened because we would have gotten noticed or something like that. But this kind of brings me to where I think the story is going, where I think is the grand mystery of why things have been kept hush-hush about this game. I think it might be a game of choice. I think this game has branching paths, but because the game is presented to us as it is, it shows the potential of branching paths. But I think it's hiding it from us. I think there are other ways you could go about this story. There are other ways players could experience this story, but they want to hide it from us because it wants us to feel like, makes us want to feel like it's our own playthrough. Based on the way I've been seeing things, yeah, there were choices to be made. There were things you could have gotten right and wrong. There were curses you could use and curses you couldn't use. But it's all just a singular linear path. For instance, the cops. We had, what's it, Namagaki? What's his name? I want to say that was his name. Let's see here. Yep, Namigaki. The cops had the chance to kill Namigaki. Once again, it could have been a failure, a but thou must failure. But, the story could have changed that whole entire way. I have a feeling that once you beat the game, then all the side paths are going to start opening up to you. Or sometime in the future. That's my current thoughts on it. if that's the case, brilliant. Brilliant way of, making a player show, that their choice was okay to make. A lot of problems with games is that, or a lot of problems with games with that have multiple choices is the notion that, oh, did I do the right thing? After seeing that, there are alternate pathways to take and to know. But to make it seem linear, give it the appearance that a storyline is linear, while a player's doing that, gives them a bit more confidence in their choice. Of course, this could just be me being entirely wrong, but that's what I'm throwing out there. Oh yeah, one more last grand theory. I think we, the player, are a spirit. We're the one possessing people and inviting them to murder. I think because we think it's a game, that it's easy to just hit the curse button. Hit the curse button, which is why whoever we're playing as are more inclined to, curse people. Okay, that's it. That's my theories. I think we're a spirit, which is why Old Man decided to introduce us to color TV. I think we're also doing some possessing here. Which is why we could redo timelines, all that stuff, maybe. Okay, but with that, let's keep going. I've been going chronological. This has not been... That's interesting how they don't let us go forward. Let's see how Detective and, PI and Harue are holding up. Rickter Kai, the best name to pronounce, the only name I can pronounce. Throughout the night, Rickter continues to gather information about the curse stones while Harue lies awake until dawn, preoccupied by the prospect of bringing her lost child back to life. "10 a.m. now. Oh wait, no, never mind. Shigima Mansion. Good morning, ma'am. How are you feeling?" I'm fine. I hope we could make good progress today. How's your curse stone looking? I haven't felt anything from it since sunrise. Interesting. It's possible that its powers can only be unleashed at night then. That aside, why are you so late this morning? There are unfortunately some things that can't be investigated while the world slumbers. But I did get some research done in what limited time I had. Very well, let's talk. Alright, I'm also supposed to be looking for birds. One's at the mansion at the moment. The door has been locked shut. Housekeeper has already left her cleaning and preparing food. Okay, very nice. The town is beginning to wake up once more. The clamor of society can be heard from beyond the garden gates. At 10? 10 a.m.? How late do these people wake up? Like any day, a cloud of pollution drifts off from the industrial area. Searching for birds. Birds. No birds. There are clues in the thing, but... This is the old mansion where I was born and raised. Oh, that's it. Kai. He's looking a bit tired. He must have been up all night investigating. We may be surrounded by curses and death, but it matters little. My only concern is whether I could see my child again. By the way, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. And what's that? Our current plan is to steal a curse stone that's already absorbed soul dregs, but I'm wondering if it would suffice to not steal, but instead negotiate with the curse bearer and have them use the right for our purposes. Oh? I mean, I suppose I would accomplish the same, but do you think it's possible? So long as we offer compensation, it may prove much easier than you'd expect. Compensation. Cash, for instance. Ah, Mr. Oh, can't think of the name. Professor guy. That wouldn't be off the table for a family as rich as the Shigimas, would it? Of course. Why, any amount would be fine if it get the job done. I won't let monetary matters lead me to regrets the way it did back with the ransom. Okay, with that option on the table, let's figure out our strategy. About the curse bearers. Do you have a curse bearer with whom we could negotiate with in mind? Not yet. Surprisingly, it seems the other curse bearers haven't been that proactive about collecting soul dregs. Did you see the news this morning? No, I haven't. Overnight, 3 mysterious deaths are reported in the area. They've yet to announce the identities of the bodies found, but they've been nicknamed the Honjo serial killings. It's garnered quite some attention on the streets. Oh my. Only 3? That's what I thought. Even if the victims were curse bearers, just 1 or 2 wouldn't be enough soul drinks. Odd that you'd know that. And for what those curse stones are capable of, a mere 3 victims seems a little on the low side. With this little activity all through the night, the curse bearers must be a cautious bunch. What's holding them back? Are we not all after the power of resurrection? There still may be some undiscovered victims, but it doesn't seem like anyone's gathered enough soul dregs yet. We might have to set up some bait to spur them into action. And we offer them the deal. Sounds like a good plan. None of the curse bearers seem very proactive. I wonder if this situation could be what the mastermind who kicked it all off intended. Now that's an interesting theory. You think there's someone behind this all? You mentioned an agonized voice telling you to kill when you first obtained the curse stone. Doesn't sound like a coincidence to me. Someone agitated the cars in this area on purpose, and they're likely after the Rite of Resurrection as well. Interesting view. The mastermind who wants the Rite of Resurrection as opposed to the one that set up the Rite of Resurrection. So you're thinking this person is not one of the curse bearers. You got a sharp mind, man. Though it might seem obvious for the mastermind to become a curse bearer and collect soul dregs if they're after the rite, this would be very risky, since as a curse bearer that they themselves would become a target. So it would actually be more convenient for them if the curse bearers move less aggressively. That's right. But despite that, they've been inciting the curse bearers to commit murders. Why? Let's consider this. What if the mastermind isn't trying to collect soul dregs themselves? You mean their intention was to steal the souls while the other curse bearers compete with each other from the start? Sitting back and observing from the sidelines is a safer course of action, which is why I figured it best for us to attempt the same strategy. So, how should we do it? There's still reason to suspect the mastermind could be a curse bearer themselves. To be honest, I want to keep my distance from whoever it is. There's no telling what kind of power they might possess. If their aim is to negotiate or steal, we'll have to outpace the mastermind in making contact with the other curse bearers. How do you suppose we do so? At this point, all we can do is search. If there's a mastermind inciting the curse bearers to collect soul dregs, can we be sure there is even a Rite of Resurrection? Good question. The rite could be nothing but a myth fabricated to spur the curse bearers into action. Seeing it might be for naught, do you want to give up, ma'am? Never. Understood. After all, we'll never know the truth unless we see it for ourselves. But we'll do it without using the curses ourselves. By the way, I met a few people who seemed like potential curse bearers last night. I did some investigating into all of them, but I only managed to get detailed information on 2. You're quick. I suppose it's to be expected from an investigator extraordinaire. I appreciate the flattery. First, there's Ayami Tono, the girl we talked to before, though she isn't a curse bearer herself. She's a student attending T University of Art. She currently lives alone in an apartment near Midoricho Park. They even determined her address. You're not one to be underestimated, Mr. Investigator Extraordinaire. I called every single university with ukiyo-e in the curriculum, pretending to be her parent. I went around to check on her place on the way here. Doesn't seem like she returned home last night. I'm worried she might have run into some trouble. Didn't you attempt to follow her last night? I'm embarrassed to say, but I couldn't. She shook me. I couldn't keep track of her. And here I thought you were an investigator extraordinaire. I'd like to learn more about her, but it'll take some time. She is planning to steal the curse stones just like us. It's best we act carefully around her. Who's the next? Next is a tall man who's dressed in black. I met him near Kinshicho. Right. Timeline we didn't murder, right. He stood out with the way he dressed. I managed to get some good information from him. Impressive. What can I say? He works at the Secretariat, the Hihaku Sub's chairwoman. I believe her name is Takumi Yumioka. The Kaku Sub's headquarters and factories are both located in Honjo, correct? Yes, they've been here for a while, but it's only in the past 10 years that the company has shown significant growth. I remember seeing the chairwoman on the news a few years back. She seems to be very shrewd. With the increase in sales, I'd assume she'd want her factories running at full capacity. But with the harsh restrictions against industrial waste, a lot of the factories with older equipment had to be shut down. That's right. Every 10 years, there were many complaints about chemical plants dumping waste into the river. So this is our reasoning of waste in the river. Most companies back then were more concerned with making a profit than protecting the environment. And I wonder what a man working for such a company would have been up to in the middle of the night. On the way here, I stopped by the company's headquarters, but they hadn't started for the day. I should have better luck later. Let's hope you will. Perhaps they're interested in seeing if the right would be beneficial for their product research into beauty and skincare. Ha! Now that's an interesting thought. I ran into one more suspicious young man last night. No, you guys haven't run into Namigaki yet? You haven't run into... No, you'd say June. You'd probably... whatever, I could just look. This one seemed to be out collecting soul tracks, right? Indeed. I couldn't get a good look at him though, and I couldn't gather enough intel to properly identify him. What's his name? Can't remember. The professor. I call him Professor and the other guy's hairdo. This is Professor. Well, that's a shame. But I could make an educated guess. Oh? You know that researcher who discovered the ancient text on the Rite of Resurrection? The one that lives near here? His name is Hideki Araishi, and the man I met was very similar in stature. Oh my, even he's involved? Awfully suspect. Considering his background, couldn't he be the one who initiated the whole affair? I think it's possible, yes. Which is why I decided to refrain from making contact with him for the time being. Safety first. Understandable. Of course, I want to learn more, but this isn't the right time to focus on him. Anything else? Nope. More curse bearers. I prefer to ascertain who else is the curse bearer. First, I'll return to Hihaku's selves to see that man in black. Their headquarters are down in South Watagasui Street. South Watagasui Street? Okay. I learned something new about the criminal involved with the kidnapping. It concerns serial killings. There's a body found at Komogata High. The person was identified as a school teacher. His name is Kohei Jonouchi. Do you think he was the curse bearer? Not sure. It's possible. But regardless, this means the two people who knew the truth about the kidnapping are both dead. Just when we're getting somewhere. It isn't enough for me to give up, of course. Still, we don't know anything about Michio Shiraishi's residence. It's hard. There's Shiraishi and Araishi. Because it's Japanese, I know that we shouldn't be taking those two names as having a relation. But you know, it's there. It'd be wise to pay a visit. Understood. Can't move just yet. In addition to the 3 victims associated with the Honjo serial killings, there's Michio Shiraishi, who reportedly committed suicide, and the police officer who died at the former Yasuda Gardens. If strange deaths continue occurring like so, they're bound to inspire strange rumors. But those last 2 have nothing to do with the 7 mysteries now. It's true, both occurred a week before the accursed situation began. Still, it cannot be ruled out. It's possible that the mastermind was involved even with those killings. What? The mastermind wanted to set... Mastermind's a sorcerer who wanted to set up these strange strings of murders just to get... That seems a little, you know, specific. Pinpoint accurate. Don't tell me the mastermind's a storyteller. Wait a minute. I'll go on that in a little bit. Now, what if there are preliminary steps to awaken the 7 mysteries curses? Can we really assume they're unrelated just because the timing doesn't match up? Or rather, the police officer's death is so baffling it'd be easier if they were connected to these curses. The victim isn't the type to be caught off guard easily. You seem to know a lot about this. I suppose we weren't strangers. My personal feelings might be wrapped up in this one too. I see. If you were to investigate this matter more, you might get a lead on the mastermind. You're right. If we wish to focus on the mastermind's identity, this would be a fine starting point. About this hearing. We might even discover more deaths related to the curses on the way. We should pay attention to today's news. Well, that's all I have to report. Shall we continue with our investigation? What do you want to do? If you still can't use the curse stone, taking a walk should be a fine place to start. Right, let's go together. I want to see what's going on for myself. In that case, I trust you to decide on where we should go, ma'am. Let's move.